Okay, in this section we're going to start to talk about rate of change, which is basically slope. So you're going to hear me say both those words. The rate of change allows you to see a relationship between two quantities that are changing. That's how we'll define it. The rate of change is also the change in the dependent variable over the change in the independent variable. In our problems, that will be the change in y over the change in x. So when you're given a problem like this, and it is already set up for us, it says the table shows the average temperature for 5 months in a certain city. Find the rate of change for each time period. During which time period did the temperature increase at the fastest rate? So the first thing you need to do is identify the dependent and independent variables. So the independent variable happens to be the month. We don't know what month it is. The temperature, think about that. If it's August in our state, it's hotter than it is in December. So the temperature depends on the month. Once you've determined your independent and dependent variables, remember what we're saying is the change in the dependent variable over the change in the independent variable, or the change in y over the change in x. So I'm going to go ahead and just label this as the y values and these as the x values. So it's the change in y over the change in x. So from here to here, the change in y would be 56 minus 56. There was no change. The change in the x would be 3 minus 2. So we end up getting 0 over 1, which is 0. So the change in here, the rate of change is 0. The rate of change from months 3 to 5 would be 63 minus 56. That's the change in the y over the change in the x. 5 minus 3. Notice I'm starting and going right to left and then right to left. When I subtract these, I get 7. And when I subtract the bottom, I get 2. So the change would be 3.5 or 7/2. From the months 5 to 7, the change in the y is 71 minus 63. All I'm doing is subtracting those two values, and then I'm going to subtract 7 minus 5. So this value gives me an 8. 8 over 2 is actually 4. So the rate of change is 4. What that really refers to is 4 degrees per month. The last one, the change in y would be 72 minus 71 over the change in x, 8 minus 7. That gives you 1. 1 over 1 is 1. So determine the rate of change for each time period. I have done that. The time period from 2 to 3, the rate of change is 0. From 3 to 5, it's 3.5 or 7/2. From 5 to 7, it is 8 over 2 or 4. And from 7 to 8, it is 1. Determine the time the balance decreased the fastest. So that's talking about rate of change. So we're going to find the rate of change between each of these values. So I'm going to have to do the same thing I just did on the last one. So I'm going to take the change in the y minus the change in the x. So I have and I'm going to start with my positive number. So 550 minus 285 over 1 minus 6. That gives me a negative 5 on the bottom. And on the top, I have 550 minus 285, which gives me 265. 265 divided by my negative 5 gives me a negative 53. So I have 265 here, and that gives me negative 53. I will finish this on the next video.